I don't think that the archival consciousness of the Academy has reached that point of maturation. I think that with the foundation, which prior to its current leadership had been somewhat, kind of at the children's table, that budget-wise, et cetera, it was always, a good idea for lots of reasons, financial reasons, contribution reasons was a good idea. But in terms of making it an academy that had a kind of intellectual substance, I think that when Dean Valentine came before the Board of Governors, these many years ago, and said, you guys really need to set up an archive. You need to do interviews, and you need to do exactly what we're doing here today. And I remember that meeting very well, that the board said, why didn't we think of this? And again, Rich Frank was a friend of Dean's over at Paramount, and I think that that's how the whole thing got cooked up. And for the first time, we had an opening to the Academy as a place of very significant academic research. I think the things that you're doing with your interviews, the way you are indexing them. The New York Review of Books was a paper, and then it went online, and then just a couple years ago it finally indexed on a word-by-word basis that you could access. So if you want to look up Joe McCarthy, you could look up Joe and the 50 articles that had him in. And I know that you're doing the same thing. And so for the first time, and it's still something of an outlier, the Academy's foundation is addressing the academic side. That this is just an astonishing resource, and especially since with Dean's help, it had the foresight of beginning way back when and still being able to pick up, because it came at a time that you could still reach back into the earliest days of television and find people. Those days are diminishing as time moves on, but there are new things coming in and you keep. But it came at a time where you could still get back in there. You could still get the editor from I Love Lucy. You could still get
Elma Farnsworth.
Yeah, that's right. And people that had the Academy not done this, I think that it would legitimately have been a significant failure in terms of one of its most lasting and significant contributions to the culture of television. The Academy really needs to understand what they've got here. I think that it is incumbent upon the leadership of the Academy, not just the foundation, but the Academy, and here I'm talking about the Board of Governors, to properly recognize that this is a case of an extraordinary value, that the scholars are going to be referencing these interviews for 100 years. It is absolutely a national treasure that this Academy has not only thought of, but engendered and definitely supported as much as it could. You look at the technical advances that have been made in the handling of all of this stuff, the sensitivity to areas that need to be discussed. I mean, this discussion that we're having right now, things that I am saying are going to be accessed by some PhD candidate somewhere along the line when they want to talk about what was the nature of bringing in cable and streaming. I can tell you that the only other person who really understands that is Dixon Dern. And, Dixon was part of that whole thing. John Moffat, who lives down in Florida, I guess knows. But in terms of the Academy, people who made it, Dixon and I are really the only one who would be able to sit here and tell you why that happened. And is there anything in the 71 years of the Emmys more important than the expansion of eligibility to include cable and streaming? And that's here. And it wouldn't be here. And when I'm gone and when Dixon's gone, people will look back and say, what happened?